Hundreds of people have been taking part in a pro-peace rally on the streets of Tel Aviv. The demonstrators are calling for an immediate end to the war in Gaza. It's been organized by Standing Together, a grassroots organization including Jewish and Palestinian Israeli citizens. Our correspondent, Sara is at the protest and asked Standing Together's co-director what they hoped to achieve.
We are moving from one city in the other in Israel, Palestinian cities and Jewish cities in Israel and mixed cities, in this demand of us to end this war, to achieve a ceasefire agreement that will allow to bring back the hostages, the Israeli hostages from Gaza, and that will end the killing of innocent people in Gaza. We understand that this way of wars, one war after the other, has achieved nothing. It achieved only destruction and death and more hatred between the people. And we are here to say that only a way of Israeli-Palestinian peace, ending the occupation, achieving a reality of equality and freedom and independence to everyone on this land, only this will achieve security to me as a Jewish Israeli citizen. And we're here to say that we are combining our hands, Palestinian citizens of Israel and Jewish citizens of Israel, and only by working together we can build the power in our society to also change the society, to also build what is necessary to be a majority that demands peace here in Israel and Palestine.
And who do you think is actually going to be listening to this when polls in Israel are showing that there's an overwhelming support for the war in Gaza? You already had some people heckling you just earlier, saying, shame on you, we have troops being killed. How much do you think you can achieve in getting that message? How will you convince the masses for a political solution moving forward, away from the deaths and destruction?
So we are growing. The movement is growing. Standing Together is a grassroots Jewish-Palestinian movement in Israel that has been growing since the war started because of our message of alternative to this war, of Israeli-Palestinian peace, of ending the occupation. And we understand that we cannot take the moral high ground and lecture, to people and tell them, no, you're racist or you're fascist. No, we need to talk about also the interest of Israeli citizens to end the occupation, to achieve security. This way of controlling millions of people that are not Israeli citizens, Palestinians living under the occupation of Israel, cannot bring us security. It can only bring us resistance and violence, and we see where it led us.
Well, earlier on Thursday, hundreds of young Israelis attended another rally near the Knesset in West Jerusalem, demanding the government do more to secure the return of captives being held in Gaza. The protesters set out on a march from Tel Aviv on Sunday. Israel says that Hamas is still holding 129 captives taken on October the 7th. While all this is happening on the streets, Israel's war cabinet has been meeting. Hamdah Salhut joins us now from occupied East Jerusalem. So, as we say, the cabinet is meeting. Do we know anything about the particular agenda for that meeting?
Israel's war cabinet convening this evening with a few items on the agenda. The first is actually discussions for a Qatari proposal for a deal to release Israeli captives in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Now, the Mossad chief, David Barnea, is said to be in this meeting to discuss the details of that proposal. But also on the agenda, what was supposed to be discussed this evening between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet, they were supposed to talk about what's going to happen the day after the war, as Israel refers to it, quote, the day after Hamas. However, there have been several objections among Netanyahu's own coalition within the government itself to have these discussions. And Israeli media is now reporting that the prime minister has succumbed to that pressure, and those discussions will not happen just yet. But it was previously reported that these discussions were just supposed to be preliminary and no decisions were going to be made. There's been fierce opposition by members of the far right, specifically ultra-nationalists within Netanyahu's government like Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir, who have been against some of these policies that the war cabinet has been maintaining throughout this conflict. Smotrich and Ben-Gvir are also not part of the makeup of the war cabinet, and they had previously demanded to be part of it because they had been objecting to some of these decisions that Netanyahu and other officials were making. But still, they are not part of the war cabinet, but they are still part of Netanyahu's government coalition. And if they left that coalition, it could supposedly fall apart. So there are a lot of different pressures Netanyahu is under. But this evening, there is internal political pressure between him and his own government.
Hamdah, thanks very much indeed for that update.